This is Geometry Semester 1. It's the 4th unit called Logical Arguments. And this is the first lesson called Flowcharts, T-Diagrams, Venn Diagrams Practice. It's on creatormath.com under the Geometry tab. You might have to Google creatormath.weebly.com to find the site. The instructions are copy the following problems into your composition book on the correct pages according to the table of contents with the notes for those pages from creatormath.com. Let's show that really quickly because the notes are what you need in your comp book. So let's go back. Here's the site name, creatormath.weebly.com. Google it and you should be able to find it. I sure hope so. This is what the home page looks like. All of your composition book instruction, if you're struggling with any part of the composition book, please scroll down on the home page, find composition book, watch all the videos, follow all the directions, and if you do everything it says, you should have an A on that comp book, all right? Let's go to the Notes tab, which for geometry is under the Geometry tab. First comes vocabulary. It's Vocabulary Geometry Study Guide PDF. If you open this up, it's a guide for the entire year. It's got all the vocabulary in it. All of your vocabulary practices should become an A after you figure out how to open that. And you can even search it, you guys. So figure that out. Google it. If you don't know how to search it, Google how do I search a PDF, and it'll tell you. So find the right semester. This is semester that we're on for the notes for this video. Make sure you have the geometry table of contents copied in full into your pages 2 through 6 of your composition book. If you haven't done it, stop and do it right now. This is what the table of contents looks like. We're going to find the unit we're in. This unit is logical arguments. We've got flowcharts, T-diagrams, Venn diagrams. These are the pages in your comp book it goes on. Please don't use this video to tell you which pages. Look at the original table of contents. By the time you watch this video, it probably will be different. So here are the notes. Let's open those up. Sometimes I have to click it twice to get it to open. Not this time though. You'll be able to expand it on your screen and copy this into your comp book. So this is going to talk about some different things. Here's a flowchart here. It says fact, fact, conclusion. Flowchart, more complex. It's got a start, an event, a choice module, an event, an end, and other events, all right? And parallel paths. That's called a critical path flowchart because it helps define which path takes the longest, especially construction will use those. Very complicated ones, but they will use those. Construction and engineering of large projects we use called CPM, critical path, I forget what the M is. T-diagram. Here's a T-diagram where we split things into groups. They split into groups, etc. And it's nothing too complex here. It's just sort of getting us through these diagrams. Every year you go through these logical argument and use these diagrams in your math classes, and that's what we're doing now. This is a Venn diagram, 2 circles that show a shared set. If you got 3, you can have shared between 2 of the items, shared between all 3 of the items, right? And this says belonging to 1 set, shared by 2 sets, shared by all 3 sets, multiple circles of a Venn diagram. Vocabulary is flowchart, tree diagram, sets, split to divide into smaller parts, and then some examples to put into your comp book, and place each shape. Interesting. All right, and some other problems you can put into your comp book before you do this practice set. So given the following graphic, what's the name of the diagram? This we saw even in the notes right now. It said a fact and a fact going to a conclusion is a flowchart. All right, so far so easy. Given the following graphic, what's the name of the diagram? This is a Venn. Anytime you have multiple circles and it's a group 1, group 2, and then here's a combination of both, right? And then things outside of the circles are group 2, you guys. So this is a Venn diagram. Probably been looking at these for some time in your educational careers. We love Venn diagrams. So given the following graphic, what's the name of this? This one's a T-chart or tree chart. If I can get the R in there, tree chart. Why? Because if you turn it this way, right, it looks like a, I don't know, I can't draw a tree, right? Looks like a tree right there. So that's why they call it a tree diagram. Given the following graphic, how does the logic flow? That's interesting. So the logic starts with the facts and flows down through the course of the arrows, right? That's the whole point of a diagram like this, is to have a graphic illustration of the flow of information. The upper groups are facts, which then lead to a conclusion. I mean, that's the whole idea, is these charts are letting us see how information is flowing so that we can communicate more clearly with each other trying to make a point about data. Given the following graphic, how does the logic flow? That's interesting. I'm curious what they got. So this is the upper one. We just did that. It leads to the bottom. That's out. The groups break into smaller parts. No, this one is the two groups are separate with the exceptions of the intersection. Two separate groups, and then they have a crossover. And for this group here, this is an intersection of the two. Okay, so we're going to go with this one. I see where they're headed. How does logic flow here? Or how does information flow here? It's flowing from some piece, and it looks like it's breaking into ever smaller parts. The groups break into smaller and smaller parts. And of course, by examining the smallest part, right, we can now get to learn something about what we're talking about that might otherwise be obscured or hidden. So given the following graphic, if group 1 has reflective symmetry and group 2 has rotation symmetry, what group is the letter A in? So let's see here. I see what they're doing. Okay, they're telling us that group 1 has reflective symmetry. So this group here, this entire circle, has this characteristic, reflective symmetry. This is group 2. It has rotational symmetry, right? So that's the definition of this entire circle. What group is letter A in? Now, this is a little bit tough because they're asking us to go back to our symmetry lessons and figure out what they are. Here's reflective symmetry. If I put this line down the middle, can you fold one side over and it be on top of the other one? So, yes. All right. Can you rotate this? Rotational symmetry. If I take an A and go like this, does it superimpose right on top of this? No. So it does not have, the letter A does not have rotational symmetry, so it cannot be in group 2. It can only be in group 1. All right, because it only has that characteristic of reflective symmetry. It can't be in group 3. It doesn't have both. And it doesn't have rotation symmetry, so it can't be here and it can't be here. Hope that's clear enough to understand. Okay. And now you are being asked to go back to a prior lesson where you learned about symmetry, and now it's being applied to a Venn diagram. All right. So group 1 has reflective symmetry. Again, group 2 has rotation symmetry. What are they giving us now? The letter I. So let's take I. Let's first split it right in the middle. Does this side fold over and lay exactly on the other side? Yes. So this part is true. It does have reflective symmetry. If you rotate this, I'm going to rotate it upside down. Does it look exactly this way? Yes. So it's got both. It's got both reflective symmetry and rotation symmetry. All right. So, and rotation symmetry might have been made a little bit clearer. We rotated it 180 degrees, by the way. We rotated it half a circle. All right. If you only rotate it at 90 degrees, it would be like that. But I'm gonna let that slide right here. I'm gonna see what they're doing, and I'm gonna go for it's both. It's group 3, you guys. It's falling into both categories. A little bit sloppy, but I kind of feel like I see where they're going with that. Right. Given the following graphic, here we go. Group 1 is reflective. Group 2 is rotation. What's the letter X? All right, here's X, and I'm going to go with the same idea that when we rotate it, it's 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to try that same thing here. So if I split it in half and I fold it over, does this side exactly match up with that one? Yes. Okay. If I rotate it upside down, does it look exactly like it did before? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say it's both, and therefore it's a group 3. It's in the middle of both these circles. Okay, group 3. All right. Got to give them a little bit of leeway. They didn't make this very specific. Follow the title back to the correct assignment. This is Geometry Semester 1. It's the 4th unit called Logical Arguments, and this is Lesson 1, Flowcharts, Tree Diagrams, and Venn Diagrams. And I keep saying T there, so I apologize if I said that before. Tree Diagrams, Venn Diagrams Practice. It's on creatormath.com under the Geometry tab. Hope this helps.